In this video I want to talk about some tips and tricks for the OnePlus Open. Some of them are kind of straightforward, but some of them are kind of hidden and were a surprise for me when I saw them for the first time. So I thought I'll do a video about it. So without further ado, enjoy the video. And we're going to start with the hardware. So as you know, with foldable phones you have the so-called tent mode, where you fold the phone like this and you put it on a table, and then you can watch media on the front screen, or you can use clamshell mode, where you put it on a table like this, either to use the camera as so the phone as a tripod, or you also can watch media on the inside screens, or you can put it like this and then use it as kind of a laptop mode and watch media on the outer screen. But with the OnePlus Open that's not so straightforward as with other foldables like the Google Pixel Fold. So imagine you're watching a YouTube video on the inner screen and then you decide you want to use tent mode. You fold the foldable, but then, as you can see, it automatically switches quite quickly to the inner screen. And first I thought, okay, then there is no tent mode with this foldable. But the trick is you have to put it on a table, and then the gyro sensors recognize that you put it down, and then the video plays on the front screen. With clamshell mode it's not so easy. As you can see, no matter what I do, if I put it on the camera side, nothing happens and the video is continuing on the inner screen. But with clamshell mode there's a trick. So you have to leave YouTube and then you have to open the camera app. Then you have to use the cover screen preview. Cover screen is turned on. Then you can fold the Open, and as you can see, you now have it in clamshell mode, but still are able to use the front screen. Then you can open YouTube and play the video, and sometimes it's a little bit finicky with the aspect ratio, but as you can see now it's working. Now you can use clamshell mode and watch media like this. So these are the two tips with regards to hardware and tent mode and clamshell mode. Another tip has to do with these two dots on top, and I'm showing it in the other camera. You see these two dots. One is a microphone and the other one, the front one, is actually an infrared blaster. So you are able to control your TV or your AC or whatever you have. All you have to do is to open the IR Remote app here, and then you can add other devices like DVD players, projectors, ventilators, your cleaning robot, and so on. I configured it to control my Samsung TV. So that's quite handy, and it's actually a rare sight to have an IR blaster in a modern smartphone. Next tip. So did you know that you are able to use a stylus with this phone? So control it with the stylus or write with the stylus. That's not universally known, but if you go into settings and you go into special features, you see there is pencil or stylus. At the moment no stylus is connected because I don't have the stylus, but you are able to use one, and you have to look for Oppo stylus or OnePlus stylus, and then you can find a stylus that is compatible with the OnePlus Open. I don't intend to buy a stylus because then you need to store it somewhere and stuff like this, and I'm also afraid that I scratch the inner display with the stylus, so I most probably will not use one. But if you want to have a stylus, like for example with the Samsung Z Fold 5, you are able to. Next tip is about software and specifically about multitasking. So as you can see, I have 3 apps opened side by side, and I can switch between the middle one and the right one and the left one and the middle one by tapping it. And for example, if I now decide that I want to have YouTube bigger, then there's a possibility to enlarge this app, and you have to click to enlarge, and then the app jumps to the bottom of the open canvas, and now two apps are on top and the other app is on the bottom. And you can switch by tapping it. If you want to return to the normal open canvas view, you have to go to shrink, and then the app shrinks to the side-by-side view. Let's stay in the multitasking open canvas. You have now 3 apps open, and you are able to open a third app by using floating windows. So I have this action panel here active, and when I, for example, want to open another app, then I can go to the action panel and use the app drawer here. And for example, let's use X as an example. Then I can pull it, and then I can replace one of the apps in the canvas, but I also can just tap on it, and then, as you can see, the app opens as a floating window. I can resize the window, I can make it small, I can move it wherever I want, although it magnetically attaches to the screen. And I can also hide it by pulling it outside, and then you have this small handle here, and you can kind of summon it again, and you can also increase the size, and that's sometimes a little bit tricky because you have to hit the edge. And as you can see, now it's in standard view, and also in standard view I can hide it, and then I can pull it out again if I want to. That's quite practical, and this works when you open the apps via the action menu, and this is why I have some apps here that I want to open in this view as a floating window. Then let's go to the camera. There are also some nice features. For example, if I click this button, then I get this view, so the camera preview gets smaller, and when I take a picture, then this picture will go into the left panel, and you can always preview the pictures you take. And let's take some more. Yeah, as you can see, the last picture you took is always in the preview, and then you can also swipe to access the pictures you took in this session. That's also quite practical. Another tip has to do with an option in the camera. So if you go to more, then you will see this XPAN mode. And I first thought that this is a kind of a panorama mode, because when you enter it, then you get this kind of view. You get a very narrow preview on top. You have 17 and 25 millimeters, so 17 is even a wider field of view than the 25. And it's actually not a panorama function, it's a special photography mode, because XPAN is actually a camera from Hasselblad, and they were quite popular because they were able to produce a really unique look, not only because it's kind of narrow and elongated, but also the image style was quite special, and OnePlus is trying to emulate the look of these XPAN cameras with this mode. And also, let's take a picture, and as you can see, there's also a special preview when taking a picture. It gets like X-ray-like, and it also takes some time before the picture is captured. And this is all to emulate these cameras. Here you can see that it gets this X-ray-like appearance when you take a picture. That's quite nice, and definitely something you can play around with to produce some unique images with the XPAN mode. And I think especially when you are outside and have more interesting scenes than a lonely keyboard on a table. Another tip has to do with the smartphone battery, and for that you have to go to settings, then to battery, and then you can go to battery health and activate optimized charging. Optimized charging is an intelligent service that learns your usage behavior, and it will wait to finish charging past 80% to preserve battery health. I currently have it activated at night, so when I plug my phone in at night, it will only charge to 80% and then will charge the remaining 20% shortly before I will unplug the device, and this was a behavior that the phone learned over time. And for this you have to activate intelligent services. So you have to go to additional settings and you have to go to system services, and then you have to engage or activate enhanced intelligent services. And it also gives an explanation. So this is an underlying service that supports device functions and improves your user experience based on how you use your device. To provide optimized charging feature, enhanced intelligence services needs to process your location information and your app usage statistics locally on your device, as well as obtain the location permission. So this is needed in order to learn your usage behavior. Then again, a battery tip, there's actually a high performance mode you can activate. For example, when you play games or so, then you get the best possible performance of your device, but this will of course also increase power consumption and also will lead to the device heating up. But if you need the power, you have it. Then let's go to gestures, and there are also some surprises in the smartphone. Again, let's go to settings, additional settings, and then to gestures and motions. One surprising setting was the screen off gestures. Of course, you can, for example, activate double tap to wake or turn off the screen, but you also can draw an O to open the camera or draw a V to turn the torch on and off. So let's try it. So when the screen is off, then you can use O to open the camera. And it's important that the screen is off, and that's also the caveat. So when it is in standby mode or in always on mode, sometimes it doesn't work, but now it worked. So as you can see, I drew an O and the camera opened, and you can also draw a V, and you can see that the flashlight turned on, and you can also deactivate it. Quite nice in order to quickly access some important features of the smartphone. There are also several other screen off gestures. You can also draw a circle, an M or a V, a W, a V, a W, and then assign different functions to these shortcuts, which can also become handy if you need to access something from the screen off. What's also interesting are the air gestures. So as you can see, you can use your hand in front of the camera or in front of the front screen to use it for scrolling. But I found that these gestures are, they have kind of a learning curve, a steep learning curve, and sometimes they don't work. So at the moment, I think it's a little bit more gimmicky, but I found it quite interesting that you have air gestures. For example, when your hands are wet or you are cooking, you still are able to use it, for example, to scroll through Instagram, through your recipe, or through TikTok. Another thing in the additional settings is one-handed mode. So you can use one-handed mode to use the device with one hand. And what you have to do is to swipe down at the bottom of the screen to enter one-handed mode. And I can do it like this. So if you have it in one hand and you can't reach the top of the smartphone, just do this, and then the screen will scroll down and you will be able to use it very easily, for example, to access the settings. Another nice feature are app clones. So with certain apps you are able to clone the app and use the app with two different accounts, for example. To use this, you have to go to apps and then app cloner, and then You can, for example, clone Facebook, Instagram, Telegram or WhatsApp. At least the apps I have installed are clonable. So for example, I could use WhatsApp with my private number and my business number, and the same goes for Instagram. If you have a business Instagram account, you could have two apps on the home screen. One is your private Instagram and the other one is your business Instagram, and so you don't need to change profiles or accounts inside the app. You can have them, for example, also side by side, which is quite handy. Another thing that is quite handy is that you are able to use multiple users. So you go to settings, users and accounts, multiple users. You are able to activate a guest account, or you can also add different users, for example, from your family, and they will have a completely separate user interface and their own apps and so on and own settings, and that's also quite handy. And now the last and final tip, and this is also quite buried in the settings. You have to go to settings, about device, and then under RAM you can use the RAM expansion. So if there is enough storage space available, you can use the available storage space as part of your RAM to expand it. I currently have it to expand by 12 gigabytes, so I have 16 gigabytes in total plus 12 gigabytes via free storage. And as you can see, currently I have 95 gigabytes allocated and more than 400 gigabytes are free. So I thought that it might be a good idea to assign the full amount of expansion to the RAM, because for a device like this that goes heavy into multitasking, it really makes sense to increase your RAM as much as possible. And these are the tips and tricks I found interesting when I started using the OnePlus Open. Let me know if there are any additional tips you found interesting, or if there are any tips I missed in the video. I can only say thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care and bye.